Five, four, three, two. Good morning, and welcome to this week's edition
My
of Boomer's Banquet. About 4 decades ago, 4 decades, yes, 4 decades ago, a bunch of guys decided to bring something really different on radio. You know how it is naman. Yung dati kasi puro pop stations and everything and mellow stations. And then these guys decided, why don't we go jazz? No, and it was unheard of, but they said, we could make jazz sound good on radio, and ever since that time, jazz has never sounded better, and this is because of the WK Good Guys. Good morning to you guys.
Morning.
Morning. We come in
Yo,
peace.
morning.
yeah. See, Wayne, don't show your
Leave.
flight. Okay, Bob, you want to say hello first?
Of course, hello. Good morning, friends. And I know a lot of you are eagerly anticipating Brother Wayne and Brother Wayne, his alter ego, and the rest of the good guys from the station that started the what I would call in our blurb, we call this in our blurb, our ecosystem for jazz, starting in Manila and reaching out to the whole Philippines. Bakit ecosystem? Kasi dinamay na nila lahat. Record sales, pop culture,
Mm,
the way we lived in schools, um,
Mm-hmm.
the jazz habit has started with them and blew up from there. Tsaka lumaki na
Right.
lumaki yan. Into the 80s, kahit wala na sila, nagkaroon ng ilang mga jazz bars, jazz joints, at tsaka other jazz music stations, kuno, pero
Yeah.
nothing is as pure as the original, DWWK FM. We're so privileged to have you guys here. Welcome,
Mm-hmm.
guests.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Teddy.
Hello, the good guys.
Hi,
We have
Ted.
so many bad elements, so we should have these guys.
Aray
Let's
ko
go there.
po.
Aray
Ah,
ko.
hindi, palagyan mo lang ng foot powder yon, Teddy. Okay na, di ba?
Yan. Speaking of which,
Ano yun?
Ted,
Oo,
Speaking of
yung
which,
BioFresh, antimicrobial socks and underwears plus foot powder and foot spray. Salamat
Mhm.
po.
Mm,
All right.
yan, so
Okay.
tinatamad mag-toothbrush, foot spray. So,
Yeah.
BioFresh, thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's get started. Let's zero in first on the one. Well, a few months ago, was that May or June? All of a
May.
sudden, we saw
Me.
WK Good Guys on Facebook, and suddenly it spawned what? Probably about 5 to 7,000 followers in less than a month. And the one responsible for that initially was Jing, Magsaysay. Jing, good morning, and
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Thanks for having
Okay.
me.
So, what prompted you into getting into this, Facebook and stuff? Di ba lahat naman nagfe-Facebook ngayon and everything because of the pandemic, but yours was somehow a phenomenon of sorts because biglang umingay yung Facebook bigla eh, no? Yung probably half of the posts I see come from WK Good Guys. What prompted you for doing that?
Wala naman kaming plano.
Hmm.
There was no plan at all. We kept in touch over the years, and we've been seeing each other on Facebook, on Messenger. But when the pandemic happened, we saw more of each other, and then one day, paano ba nangyari yun? We just said, why do
Actually, I think a year ago or two ago, I visited Manila,
Mhm.
yeah.
and then I got these guys together. I said, "Oy, kita-kita naman tayo." So I think Ed had a meeting at the Conrad, and we decided to all meet there. And then we started talking about a reunion and getting back into radio. And it was actually Jing who inspired us, saying that we do have a brand. Why don't we continue with the brand? And
Mhm.
so that sort of started the ball rolling. But we didn't know how to put it all together. So when the pandemic happened, everything just fell into place.
Very nice. That's interesting. No, somebody from out of the country was the one responsible to kickstart everything, huh? Pinky, you're out
No,
of the
no,
country, right?
yes, I am. So I am in
Mm-hmm.
Australia,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one of those visits that I usually do every year. And then
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to see them. So all and it was a perfect time because Jing was available, Ed was available, Wayne was available, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we all got to see each other. And
Mm-hmm.
then that sort of got the ball rolling. Like I said, it wasn't the idea of starting the station again was far from that. We just wanted to, just get in touch. But then we started meeting. Last year we met again in November. And then we talked about it, and then I went home, and then came May. Yun,
Biglang-bigla na lang, ano?
ayun na.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Seryoso na.
And si Ed Picson, Ed, you've been working with Jing even prior to WK, right?
Ito na.
That's correct.
And then, were you in radio when WK started and you got on board?
Yeah, well, actually, before I moved to WK, I was with DZHP.
Ah,
Uh,
okay. Uh-huh.
yeah, I was a newscaster, news writer, newscaster.
You were with Tina
First,
Palma that time, right? Tina was with
she
BHP
was
that time.
she was about to resign
Mm-hmm.
when I came in. So was Ronnie Nathaniel and
Mm-hmm.
Sonia Basa. So
Mm.
ang inabot ko si Nonoy David, Jess De
Okay.
Colongon, Tony
Uh,
Valeriano,
well, pu-
these guys.
puro,
Puro
puro hype
alamat.
yung, puro hype na
Alamat.
boses yun.
Oo. Kaya
Ulit.
nakaka-inferiority complex, you know. But they were mostly, they were news readers. I was a news
Mm-hmm.
writer, newscaster. So I would
Mm-hmm.
come in at 5 o'clock in the morning, look at the wires, may tatlo ron, UPI, AP, and TMA.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos, 6 o'clock, the first newscast. Kasi, ako yun, rip and read na lang, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
But for the other guys, for Jess and for Nonoy and for Tony, I would have to write their scripts. But anyway,
Oh.
Ronnie Quintos, who was then the station supervisor of WKFM, and whom I had worked with before, rang me and said that there was an opening on WK. It was basically a pop station at that time that could barely be heard. Dahil ang signal noon, ang transmitter noon was like effective yata less than 1,000 K. Um, so
So,
1,000 watts, hindi 1,000 K, whatever. So, I considered it, medyo na, although I was programming the music on FM, it was, DZHP was automated na. It was the first
yeah.
automated station in the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines. So medyo nabobore ako, no? Iko-program mo lang, puro tapes, ganyan, ganyan. And then I relished the idea of getting back to live DJing. So I
Mm-hmm.
went, and then, of course,
We're
Wayne,
live.
nagkataon naman na
YouTube.
magkasunod kami ni Wayne. I was given the 1 o'clock slot. Wayne would come in at 4 or 5. So magkasunod kami. And Wayne and I are cousins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then, we shared a love for jazz because his dad, Wayne's dad, was a big jazz aficionado. And we
Mm-hmm.
grew up listening to his dad's music, which was the big band and Sinatra and all that. So slowly we injected jazz into the programming. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
at that time, labo-labo eh.
Mm.
Ronnie Quintos really didn't mind what he played. So
Mm-hmm.
Wayne asked me, because Wayne was already connected with the people in Birds of the Same Feather at that time,
Uh-huh.
owned by Serafin Kua, was a good friend of his.
Mm-hmm.
And after, nasabihin niya sa akin, why don't you stay on? Hanggang board work niya nun, I think was until 9 o'clock. I
Mm-hmm.
was up at 4 or 5. Sabi niya, diyan ka lang. Sama ko sa akin mamaya. So I would tag along. Punta kami sa Verge after his board work. And then, Eddie Katindig, Romy Katindig,
Mhm.
Bong Piñera, all these influences added on to our personal preference in music. So, and then, nung nagkabakante, Rafi Mejia left
Mhm.
for
The
the
States.
States,
Mhm.
and I contacted Ronnie Malik, whom I had worked with, the late Ronnie Malik, King Monster.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
he came in, and then nagkaroon pa ng isang vacancy, and I also contacted Jing.
Mhm.
And then,
Oh,
sunod-sunod
okay.
na yun.
Off King
And
Wi-Fi.
Jing and Ronnie, when we were working with this small
Yeah.
radio station called WWWK under Bong Lapira, we were
Uh-huh.
already experimenting with jazz. Mga John
Uh-huh.
Clemmer, mga Thelma Houston,
Mm.
mga ganon-ganon.
That was in
Uh,
77.
Even I
yeah, I
think
think
earlier.
so.
Ah, yeah.
76,
Earlier.
77, ganon.
Uh-huh.
And
76.
then, 76
76.
ba yan? Oo, yun. And then, so, it just, all came together. Wayne was our leader. Ronnie Quintos couldn't do anything about it anymore kasi majority kami. And, yun, kasunod-sunod na,
Uh-huh.
uh, it became where jazz has never sounded better. The good
Yeah.
guy.
Mhm. Very nice. Okay, let's go to Wayne.
We
Wayne,
want
can
to,
you hear
kaya lang.
us? Oo, no? Nawala, no? Anyway, let's
Wala.
let's
Nakakonect
go.
kasi sa kapitbahay eh. Hindi ko makakapit ng sarili.
Mahirap ang buhay, nagtitipid.
Binablock, iniiba password.
Grabe, pastor.
Sabi ko, tanggalin niya muna yung mga sinampay kasi nabablock yung sampay eh.
Let's go back to Pinky first. Pinky,
Yeah.
was WK your first radio station, or
Your
you
first
had
and last, actually. My first
really?
and last. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you
I
get
think
involved with these guys?
yeah. So Ronnie Malik left for the States, and
Uh-huh.
they needed somebody to start from 6 to 9:30,
You
and
were
nobody.
already a newscaster, Pinky, di ba? You were a
Yeah,
newscaster
yeah,
in the
yeah. I
broadcasting
was
team.
newscasting in 15
BBC.
minutes. That was from
Mm-hmm.
BBC, yeah. And then Ronnie left for the US, and then Wayne was looking around for somebody to start from 6 to 9:30, and he couldn't get anybody. And at the time, I was already toying around with the turntable. So sometimes,
Uh-huh.
Ed actually taught me how to do it. So I sort of got the hang of it. And so every time they would, go to the comfort room or anything, or go to the canteen, I'd sit down. I won't say anything, but at least play around with it. And Wayne thought, I was hanging around the booth at the time. And then he said, "Iknip," a term they call me, "Gusto mo mag-board?" Sabi ko, "Oo. Sige, Lunes, umpisa ka." Ganon,
Sarap, no?
ganon lang. Oo, Lunes, umpisa ka. Okay. And then he just posted this note on the TV, I think it was. Pinky's gonna start on Monday at 6 a.m. And let's welcome her, or something like that. And then, naman these guys, they're all very naughty. They put all sorts of, crazy things on it. And I go, wow, okay kayo ah. Yun. So that's how it started.
Ano naman yung
And
mga nakalagay doon,
Oo.
Superwoman? Ano yung mga nakalagay na crazy things?
Mm.
ang mga ano may ano pa dun may drawing pa ng you know,
Ng kwan,
flipping the
ng ano.
bird. Ika nga. And
I wonder
then
who
there was,
did that. Sino kaya?
that was
Aba?
Jing.
She's the artist.
Si Jing.
Yeah, that
Ah,
was Jing. Yeah. And
yan.
then
He
and then
calls
a
it
lot of
art.
other and then it wasn't just them. It was also those yung mga tumatambay sa booth. So they would,
Mm.
doodle all kinds of things, but it was fun. Yeah,
Mm.
okay lang. So
Yan,
that's how it
nakakatawa.
started.
Very nice. Nakakatawa, no? Every time I want to go to Wayne, bigla nawawala eh. No? Ayun,
Ayun na, ayun na.
Wayne.
Ayun,
Wayne.
ayun, nahawi na niya yung sinampay.
Oh,
Wait.
if kung si Pinky, that was her first and only radio job. Wayne
Correct.
throws back to way back in the 60s, no? he was first known as Walloping Wayne.
Correct.
No? Walloping Wayne
Mm.
before he became your brother. Wayne, how did you get involved with WK? Hintay
Ganun.
tayo ng mga dalawang araw, no?
You see, but, oo,
Yosi muna.
on 73, kinuha ko ni Andy Generoso. Andy.
Si Andy. Okay. So,
Well,
that
ano?
was still
Hindi niyo ako
flight
narinig?
10, flight 1019, no? Flight 1019 pa.
Hindi pa flight. Ang flight 1019, I believe, was started by Naldi Castro.
Okay.
Medyo late ka lang.
Mhm. Ayun.
Okay lang, para tayo nanonood ng
delay
martial
ako,
arts.
no?
Ha? Okay lang.
Nice lang.
Ah.
Your
Naghintay
kung fu
kami.
is better than my kung fu.
Nakaslow mo kasi yun ako eh.
Yung baka lobat kaya gano'n. Ano mo. Okay,
Ang buhay ko.
let's
That's
go
okay.
to let's go to Jing.
Ako ang lobat, hindi yung galit.
Jing, ito question talagang ano yan, no. Ang lakas ng loob ninyo, no. We have to be oy, si Long Tall Howard Edo.
Okay, nag-comment.
Hey, Howard.
I remember
Hi,
WKFM started in the 70s with the late Andy Generoso, Brother Wayne,
Sinama
and
pa
Long
siya eh.
Tall Howard. Siyempre, no? Oh, yun, Long Tall, baka gusto mo sumali.
Sali ka.
May internet connection ka na? Ayun.
Okay. Din nakakonect yan.
Sa sampayan din. No? Marami rin siya sinampay today.
Jing,
Hey, Howard.
ayun, question. Ang lakas ng load ninyo, what did management say when you said, magja-jazz kami?
We never talk to management.
Really? Ano yung kolorum?
Oo, para kasi the only employees were Wayne, Ronnie Quintos, and Dody Lacuna. Kami mga talent kami eh.
Okay.
So we didn't have a direct line. We were not organic in short, no, to the company. So ako kasi when I came in, Ed called me like Ed was saying. Nagluluto ako, naging yung phone, sabi ni Ed, Jing, may station tayo, jazz, gusto mo? Sabi ko, siyempre. So, I joined in late 1979, and I think we met with management maybe only a couple of times, but not about, I think once about jazz, when an old man of a boss said, ano ba yan, jazz na yan? Ba't di bumibenta or something like that? While he was showing us his pictures on the wall, while he was trooping the line with soldiers, yung mga ganun. So, it was jazz from day one, in my case. No? And we never had, among ourselves, we never had any doubt, or we never entertained any other idea of any other format, and we never had a playlist for the station. Kung ano lang yung dumating na plaka, and then all of a sudden the recording companies would be sending us records. Biglang yung mga nasa catalog nila na panay alikabok nilalabas nila kasi pumuputok na yung jazz. No? So may mga, the other guys can tell you about mga kwento like discovering a still unknown Angelo Bofield then.
Yeah.
Yung mga ganun. So, it wasn't a matter of, oy, jazz tayo ha, paglaban natin. Oh, it was just jazz. And maybe because no one understood what we were doing, hindi nila kami pinapakialaman, number one. And number two, all the radio booths were in another area of the building.
Yeah.
Our booth was in between Live Studio 1 and Live Studio 2, kung saan yung noontime show, which was, Bulaga ba yun?
Bulaga, yeah.
Bulaga. So, habang nagbo-board ako ng tanghali, ang picture window ko, nakikita ko yung pila ng Itbulaga, yung mga tao. So, kaway ako ng kaway. Hi, hi. So, maybe we were out of sight, out of mind. So, hindi kami pinapakialaman masyado. But it became an issue a couple of times when obviously mahirap ibenta at the time dahil yun na nga, yung advertising, alam mo naman yung advertising model pag wala kang rating, hindi ka bebenta Hindi pwede yung madami nakikinig sa'yo, meron kang niche audience, meron kang branding, hindi pwede yun. Kailangan may rating ka. Yun.
Yun, MRS nun ang nagre-rate, di ba? Most requested song
Correct.
Di ba?
Early 80s.
Yeah,
Mellow Touch.
DWKFM. At saka Mellow Touch, no? Ayun.
Well, actually, I think if I may chime in, the fact was, management didn't care about that.
Really?
We were, sabi nga ni Jing, out of sight, out of mind. Hindi kami nakikita And at that time, pupugak-pugak yung signal. Paano kami pupugak-pugak yung signal mo? And then, for some reason, management decided to upgrade our equipment, both the studio equipment and the transmitter. They bought dalawang bagong transmitter na 10K. Diba? Back pa kami. That's when it started getting noticed. But first by the public and then consequently by management. Nung kumikita na, I think, if I remember correctly, in 1983 or 84, early 84 or late 83, we were getting something like 1 million a month.
Wow, that's
ang laki na nun.
That's
that time.
substantial.
Yeah.
And the same people were calling us, incessantly, saying, yung commercial ko, hindi ma-ere, putulin mo yung tutug mo, gano'n. Things like that, And we finally made an impact. Not only on the public, but also kaya naging interesado sila sa amin. And then they decided 1 million, kung pwedeng 1 million a month yung jazz, kung gawin nating publish yung station, parang 10 million. Di ba? So, we decided to get rid of us because in the first place, tatlo nga lang yung regular employees. Ronnie Quintos, at the time yata, wala na si Ronnie Well, Wayne and Dody, no? Wayne and Dody na lang ang natitira. Kami, throw away kami dahil wala nga kami kontrata Di ba? we were just having fun. And so they, without much of an ado, they closed us down, much to the lament of a lot of our listeners. Nagkaroon pa ng petition which according to management, gawa-gawa lang ng mga DJs, sila lang pumirma niyan. But it was talagang totoong mga tao yun, yung mga listeners ang gumawa ng petition na yun, and they went around and quite voluminous yung pinadalang petition. Of course, bali-wala yun. This management had already made the decision. So we were on for about 5. Those were 5 good years from 79 to 82.
One of those warm bodies, si Paul Reno, he's based in New York now. He said, I used to be a listener of WKFM. I even visited the station in 1982. Met Pinky and Jing. Loved that station. Of course, he became a DJ. But now, all he does is play golf and hopes that he can play in next year's Masters tournament.
What a life.
What a life.
Wala kwenta-kwentang buhay. No?
Wala talaga. Wala.
Si Wayne, okay na? Kailangan yata ni Wayne may yung...
Good body.
Okay ka na, Wayne?
What did you do?
Calling Wayne.
May question ako, Wayne, kung if you can hear us.
I'm
one
here,
of the
I'm-
songs
I'm
you
here, I'm
okay.
here.
So
I
one
can
of the
hear
songs
you,
you
but can you hear me?
yes, we can hear
Yeah,
you
we can hear
clearly.
you.
Uh-huh. One of the songs that you made very, very popular, kagaya nga na sinabi nila Ed kanina, you guys made songs out of nowhere, no? And Wayne, yung Willy Bobo mo,
Team song yan. Di ba?
oh,
Yeah.
Fairy Tales for Two.
yung Fairy Tales for Two. Ang dami nag-aakala ikaw ang kumanta nun eh, no? So yun, no? Yung how did you uh, find out about that song and what made you decide to make it your goodbye song? Nginitian lang ako eh, no?
You're
Parang
witnessing a mugshot.
may
Uh,
pinick up na babae tapos ngumiti lang.
Wala, sa totoo lang, walang narinig yun.
Ngiti lang. Hi, are you alone? Ngiti.
Mahilig sa puryuhan din to.
Parang it's Long Tall Howard all over again.
nakakapaging ginagawa.
The last time I guested yun, si Howard ang ganyan eh.
Oo nga eh. At saka dyan din yung pwesto eh, sa lower left eh, di ba?
Oo nga.
May balat yata.
Ah,
May
ganon?
balat yata. Oh, may balat yata talaga yung
Totoo.
lower left eh. Bob,
Pero
question?
gumagalaw eh.
Oo.
Wayne?
Wayne, tama na yung pakyut. Salita ka.
Gumagalaw naman.
What if it... Oo.
Uh, Fairy Tales for Two. Bobo. Kulang.
Oo.
Tapos, Pinky was doing Will Pointer Superwoman.
Yan.
And the rest of the guys, I don't remember now. My data bank is full.
Mm.
Pero wala, nothing spectacular about choosing Fairy Tales as my signature, as my goodbye song. Pero gulat ako. Even
What's
Willy
that?
Bobo, for that matter, when to town, got mad at
Got mad at?
Parang
Siya din.
emoji si Brother Wayne, ano? Pag nag-freeze eh, parang emoji. Iba-iba yung
Wait,
Ano?
patayin mo kaya yung ano mo, yung video and then just
Kapitay mo,
ano,
patayin mo raw.
Oo. Audio mo na lang.
audio na lang.
Langya kayo, normal na yung connection ko ha.
Howard.
Kailangan lang
Walang
pala.
pala i-reset nun. Baka kailangan mo lang i-reset, Wayne.
Si Howard talaga oh. Oh, I remember nakapako yung dial ng Pioneer KP500 car radio ng 75 galant sa 70
Can you hear me?
sa WK. Yes, we can hear you. Ayan, okay ka na? Galing.
Hello.
sana ano ang
Yan.
problema kasi dito at the moment may mga naglalatag ng kable. Hello? Party line.
Yes, yes.
Ginagamit ko linya. Tuloy ko
Timing.
na yung kwento.
Sige, please.
Huwag niyo naman akong titigan ng ganyan.
Bilisan mo kasi.
Willy Bobo yung kwento.
Yung nagalit si Willy Bobo ka mo.
Nagalit
Bakit
si Willy
nagalit?
Nagalit si Willy Bobo sa akin tapos ng interview dahil bakit daw pinapakanta sa kanya ni Vic Del Rosario yung Jing
Oo.
at saka yung Fairy Tales for Two. Sabi niya yung dalawang yung pandagdag lang yun dun sa plaka.
So clip
Album.
yung
Ang tawag
Kumbaga
nila
kay-
mga sleepers.
kumbaga kay James D, yung clip
Sabi
side
ko,
yun.
Hindi namin kasalanan yun. Yung dalawang yun
Clip
nasubukan.
side.
So,
Side B.
so on I believe on his way from Japan to Manila, nag-cramming sila dun sa lyrics ng Jing.
Pinapractice na.
Buti nga sa kanila.
Buti hindi kanya kinuha para sa music consultation.
Okay yun, ano.
But I
Okay.
remember Wayne,
Flip side.
kasi when Billy Bobo came here, he was actually just part of an all-star jazz band.
Yeah.
The Harvey Mason.
Kila Bob James yun, di ba?
I don't remember if Bob James was there, but the leader doon was Freddie Hubbard. The
Okay.
Freddie Hubbard.
Freddie
And
Hubbard.
nagkikilusan yun, I remember, sa Folk Arts Theater yung concert eh. Punong-puno yung Folk Arts Theater. Nung lumabas si Bobo, and he sang Fairy Tales for You, nagkagulo.
Hindi, ano?
Nagselo si Fred Hubbard. Actually, he even, on stage, he said something really
Nasty.
against
Talaga?
Willie Bobo. Kasi Willie Bobo, syempre, he was warming up to the crowd dahil siya ang gusto ng tao siya kilala Freddie Hubbard is, he was a very good trumpeter from may pagka-heavy yun So, ang gusto ng tao yung commercial, di ba? And how much more popular can you get as Fairy Tales for Two and Gigi? So, yun, nagkaroon ng solusyon doon dahil Freddie Hubbard parang to the fact that Willie Bobo was more popular than him. He was the leader of the band.
Grabe, ano. And who was the
Because
producer
of
that time?
Wayne's. And when you said, George, that some people thought that Wayne sang Fairy Tales for Two, the truth of the matter is Wayne used to sing it dun sa Birds.
Yeah. Sa Birds, right.
He used to sing it a lot there. People would request.
Yeah.
No wonder. Oo.
Yeah.
Wala namang hiya yan, so bakit?
Lasing pa.
Wayne, ayusin mo na yung internet mo kasi sunog na sunog ka rito.
Pagkakataon na namin.
We're still hoping Dody Lacuna could show up, no?
Oo
Sana
nga,
maayos.
si Dody. Oo. Hindi, typical stage actor yan eh. May entrance siya mamayang ano. Diba?
Dramatic
For sure.
entrance.
Right.
Nakalimutan.
Nakalimutan ba ni Dody?
Nakalimutan. Pinaalala mo pa.
Gumagamit mo ba siya ng kalendaryong malaki yung sa Lumber? Yung,
Yung hardware.
Kasi ang
Yung hardware,
nangyari, may naglalatag pa ng ibang provider dito.
Ah.
Ang Converge.
Converge ka ba o PLDT?
Naglalatag sila ng kable.
Sky yan, Sky.
Retelco yata si
Ay, Sky. Tama. Sky.
Hindi Retelco o kaya GTS ah.
Pucha. Ang tagal na.
Yung operator pa yun.
Pipindutin mo na ilang beses yung
Telepono ko bayan.
Hello, static. Ganun na.
Information.
Ito pala ang numero ng telephone number mo.
limang
Oh,
numero.
lima.
Nakahirap ako sa retail ko
Pinky, you were doing the news, di ba? Tapos biglang you got into this radio station. How did you feel about the change? Lalo na nangyari yung let's admit it, yung WK is a jazz station which was being considered a pop station because of its popularity. Di ba? Ganun na nangyari noon eh. No, how did it feel? Was there a culture shock as far as you're concerned?
No, of course not. No, because I used to hang around with them already prior. So after my news from 12 o'clock to 12:15, I just go to the booth and hang around there. I used to be at UP then, but then sometimes I'd cut classes, which most of the time happened actually. And then and then yun na. So it wasn't exactly a culture shock. It was more like moving into, you know, what I was used to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And did you expect this kind of popularity? Anybody can answer this. Jing, did you expect this kind of popularity and
It
bandwagon
didn't e-
effect?
it didn't
Di ba?
even feel like we were popular. No,
Uh-huh.
didn't feel like it was like that. I didn't feel. I mean, like Jing said
So,
earlier, we were just having fun,
No,
and the popularity was surprising actually
no,
sometimes.
Pinky, if I may interrupt, no, speaking from a college student's perspective, you were of legend. The station was of legend then, because according to talk, champagne was flowing all over the booth every day.
Yes.
Ganun katindi yung
No.
legend.
Champagne.
Oo.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
really?
if you felt that hindi nyo nararamdaman yung popularity, everywhere else, kumukulo
Oo.
na yon. Which
well,
explained the big record sales for jazz at around the time.
Mm,
At
Yeah,
saka long after you were there, nandyan yung mga radio stations na sumunod. Briefly,
mm.
ako, I had
Yeah.
hosted the Jazz Downbeat show pa sa LS. Pero segment lang yon. City Light came about pero hindi nila
Mm,
mapanindigan ng gusto yung dapat na jazz. So, but then, gumagamit ng elements and then came crossover. So, andun yung
mm,
effect eh. So, it became a ripple thing which you
Mhm.
probably started. I don't know if it's deliberate pero umubra. If you
Oo
didn't
nga
feel
eh.
Trendsetter.
it,
Trendsetter.
mm.
yeah.
I don't know. These guys were more of the legends of that station. So I was just saling pusa lang actually.
Saling pusa
Kaya,
kaya lang sign on ano, yung prime time sa kanya eh.
ayun na nga
Di ba?
eh. So I only because they didn't want to come early. That was the only thing. And ako, I lived around UP or somewhere there.
Mhm.
So, it made sense.
Mhm.
Wayne,
Grabe.
para sa iyo to kay Howard.
Brother, I feel you. Ganyan talagang walang hiyang yan pag
Yan,
sumagal ang
pag
connection mo.
gumagal.
Par Ed, ikaw
kasalanan
yata
nyo
sila.
yan, no? Mapag-uusapan talaga kayo.
Mm.
Pero going back to your point, George, about popularity, uh, as we mentioned earlier, no, Wayne, Jing, Ronnie Malig, and later on Pinky, we all embraced the music genre. We all
Mhm.
believed in it, and we thought that in due time we would get the kind of following that we did. Di ba? We just believe in the product and the brand, WK. So
Mhm.
when we started rating, which equates to popularity, as we all know, no, in the radio business, we weren't surprised. Uh, we felt it was you know justice, di ba? Poetic justice. Na
Mm.
when Jing and I were with Double E, together with Ronnie Malig and Joppy Gutierrez and some guys, we tried to inject jazz in our programming, and we got very positive feedback from the very few listeners. Again, another black station at that time. Um, but the positive feedback that we got from our listeners, few as they were in those days, gave us that that push, di ba? Na let's go for this, di ba? People will appreciate this
Mm.
kind of music because it's what's not to appreciate with jazz.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Of course, depende, no? Marami kasi ng jazz, but we tried to be as light as, as we could. Although Jing will always point out that all of us have our individual tastes, and
Mhm.
Yep.
it runs across the spectrum. Diba? Dody had a
Has
different
its own.
take on what jazz was all about. Jing did, Pinky, Wayne, and myself, even Ronnie. But
Mhm.
the audience need to get attracted to
Yeah.
the entirety of the programming. So it worked out well.
You know, you brought that up, I was gonna bring that up. Uh, there was no set rule. No, I'm a listener. I used to be a listener. At the same time, I was in radio before, no. And in radio, dapat hindi ba siyempre may consistency. WK never had that consistency because when you listen to a certain DJ, he had his own tastes in music. No,
Correct.
ibang-iba no. And as far as I'm concerned, when I was young, my orientation sa jazz, Wes Montgomery, Duke Ellington, yung mga ganon. No, John Coltrane. Then all of a sudden, here you come with a bunch of records which I haven't heard of, and then all of a sudden, sabi ko, uy, maganda to ah. No, was there a deliberate was it deliberate that you played that kind of jazz compared to the Ellingtons and the Wes Montgomerys of the world?
Eh, may nagbayad sa amin.
Ah, yun, no? Kaya sabi ko na nga ba, si Vic Del Rosario may kasalanan.
Dami naman niya kinita dahil doon.
Oh, no.
George, may
Talaga.
tanong ako. May tanong
Sige,
ako.
Ed.
Yung prevailing management philosophy sa Broadcast City ba? Ganoon? O sa inyo lang yung parang may autonomy kayo to do your own thing? Anyone?
Jing.
Uh, we were personally. I think they saw that it was different. No, siguro pinagbibigyan kami. Later on, as Ed pointed out, kumikita na yung station, and we had the ratings to prove that the format was working. No, so.
Working.
I think it was a matter of a combination of they not knowing what we were doing, so therefore they couldn't say
Yeah.
much about it.
Yeah.
They couldn't shoot it down dahil di
It was
naman
making
natin alam
money,
kung
just
ano yun,
making
di naman natin babarilin, di ba? So, at first, siguro ganon, and then it grew on them as well. But you know nga, the sad thing was when it grew, somebody said, "Uy, meron pala tayong FM station dyan, ba't di natin kunin?"
Mm,
Aha.
Kung kailan
So, nawala
lumaki.
yung FM namin. So,
yeah.
we closed down January 29 of 1984. But you know, the same thing that brought us all together was, kasi you were making a point earlier, George, na bigla na lang may music na ganito na galing sa amin. But it wasn't like we woke up one morning and said, "Uy, gusto ko itong music na to." Hindi kasi nung panahon pa lang ni Wayne, kunyari, walloping Wayne pa siya, like you said earlier, sa UW, nakikinig na ako, meron ka ng mga It's a Beautiful Day, meron ka lang mga progressive
Yeah.
rock, pero smooth rock. No? So, meron ka lang mga Pat Metheny, meron ka lang mga...
Yes.
So, it wasn't like the music was born overnight. This brand of music, in fact, among ourselves, pinag-uusapan namin up to this day. Do we call it jazz? Kasi
Yeah.
may mga nasabi na hindi naman jazz yung tinutugtog nyo eh.
Oh.
Yan ang
Especially
totoong
the
jazz,
purists.
which is a valid argument as well.
Yeah.
But the question is, if we're not playing jazz, then what are we playing? So, para hindi mahaba yung usapan, among ourselves, ang sabi namin, let's call it the WK sound.
There
So
was-
jazz, yes, Matty said jazz fusion. Yes, jazz fusion is the catch-all description.
Yeah.
Kasi fusion parang pagkain yan Filipino, Americano, Italian, matamis na spaghetti. Parang
Adobo.
parang ganun, di ba? So that's a catch-all description. But is it, for us, it's jazz. Sabi nga namin, where jazz has never sounded better. But you know, jazz for me maybe not be jazz for you. But in the inverse, jazz is whatever you want it to be. So, para sa amin, it was the music that that we listened to as a product of what we grew up with, the soundtrack of our lives. May pop, may rap, may classical, may mainstream. Halo-halo na yun. And
Yeah.
if you listen to WK before, you get a lot of those sounds. I don't want to call it music, no? May tulog pop, may mainstream, may rock, may lahat yun huli mo dun sa fusion na tinutugtog namin. We call it the WK sound.
So there was no program director.
Kanya-kanya.
Galing, ano?
Galing. Ano yan? Nag-synergize.
Pero sino ang station manager? Sino ang station manager noon?
Wayne.
Wayne. Ronnie Quintos and
Wayne.
then Wayne. Ronnie Quintos muna and then Wayne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ang maganda ron was that when the recording companies got wise to the movement, as it were, no? The jazz movement, they started churning out,
Good.
records, no? From different artists. Dati yun sa booth, nag-uunahan pa kami ron eh. Review, ganon. Somehow, I don't know if you guys would agree. Somehow we all went towards 1, 2, or 3 tracks in an album. Pare-pareho kaming ito maganda. So without actually discussing it, we were pushing those tracks in the album. Yun yung sumikat, di ba? I don't know if it was because we were also listening to each other, and then I would hear it in Jing's show or in Picson or in Wayne or in Dody. Tapos, it got into my ear, and then it became familiar. And then when I would sit in the booth and I would look at the album, ito yung narinig ko kay Wayne. So, ganda to, di ba? Something like that. It could have happened that way, or we just all converged, hindi commercial yan, on those particular tracks, and somehow they became hits.
Offhand nga, no? I can name 2 songs na talagang WK, Room Full of Mirrors,
Hiroshima.
and You're the One, Ron Scott ba yan?
Ronnie Foster.
Ronnie Foster.
Grabe, yung dalawang yun, sabi ko, ito WK.
Mga pan-date yun George.
Yung
Parehong
You're the
pan-date.
One, Jing Magsaysay para sa akin yun.
Pan-drive
You're
sa
the
kotse
One.
yun Tapos yung tutugtugin mo pag may katabi ka, di ba?
Di ba?
Namulto.
Ganon, no? Yun ang ano eh. Now, what about local artists? Like
Yan.
si
Boy Katindi.
Bong Piñera kasi was a high school classmate for one summer, no? And he openly admits na WK actually helped him a lot also, no? There was apparently a huge deluge of local artists when you came into the picture, no? Sila Boy Katindig, and then kagaya nga na sabi ni Howard, if not for WK, Serafin Puwa's Birdland and Birds of the Same Feather would be nothing, no? So technically, you became a marketing arm of a bar, which spawned other bars like Rhythm and Blues and Jazz Rhythms. Yun ang ano eh. Di ba?
Gumagalaw na si Wayne
Oo.
Mukhang maganda na yung signal ko ngayon. Okay na ba ako?
That's good.
Yun, very nice.
Salita ka na.
Tsaka actually may connection between Birdland and the station.
Tama-tama
Talaga meron. May active connection.
So,
Actually, sorry to, pero actually, ang nangyari dyan, nothing to do with Birdland. It was more Birds of the Same Feather.
Yeah, yung earlier.
The first yung when it opened up. The place made good. It came. I don't know, during those CB days, yung aming grupo, that was supposed to be the unofficial headquarters pag nag-a-eyeball. sa Caltex station.
The Shell station.
Sorry, Shell.
Actually, yung station ni Serafino, wala pang Birds noon eh. I remember, yun ang bilihan ng PX eh. At saka Marlboro Blue.
Hindi, tapat yung Cordero yun.
Sa Cordero yung
Cordero yun.
Ayan.
ang dating birds of the same feather, talyer.
Talyer dati.
Ah,
Oh,
yeah,
talaga.
yeah, yeah.
Ang mga magkakasosyo dyan, mga taga KBS din. I don't know if you know,
aha.
I don't know if you met Sunny Urbano,
Oo.
uh, Boy Guevara. Yan yung mga standby yan doon at saka kanila yung talyer. Hanggang sa ginagawa na lang ni nag-usap-usap sila magtayo ng bar. Naging jazz bar. Si Sunny Urbano
Aha.
si Sunny yata kasi arkitekto yon pero he was with Scenics and Graphics ba tawag doon
Mhm.
sa KBS.
Yeah.
Uh, siyang
Design, nag-design.
nag-design.
Pero yung
Aha.
interior, kay Ramon.
Kay Ramon
ang
Buwan.
interior, yung brother ni...
Yung kapatid
I
ni Sir.
see. Aha.
Anyway, birds of the same feather yun. So, balik tayo sa WK. Yan. Sunog na sunog ako kanina, no?
Wala.
Guni-guni mo lang yan.
Hindi, nakita nyo, nag-post kagad si Howard.
Oo eh.
Sensitive.
Pareho kasi kayo retail ko eh.
Retail ko nga. Saka, yung nag-PP daw sa likod ng power, napagod.
Ayun.
So, sagutin mo na yung WK.
In WK.
Oh,
Ikaw ang isa sa mga original, di ba?
ito kami.
And who thought of that idea? Mag-jazz tayo. Ganon.
Kami na lang. Kami na mga good guys na yun.
Aha.
It was never pasulpot-sulpot yung jazz namin nung kaming tatlo nila Howard tsaka ni Andy. Pero it was more closer to rock than anything else.
Yeah, oo.
Kasi mga pinanggalingan, I don't know kung saan nanggaling I'm not sure about the background. Alam ko si Howard nag-MB yan, di ba?
Sa
WKW
BMND.
rin.
Kailangan
KW
mix up
rin.
lahat. Oo. Pero yung rock kami nun isipin mo, Peter Molina, Peter St. John, DJ
Howlin'
Alfred,
Dave.
wala si Howlin' Dave.
Wala, DJ Alfred pala. Oo.
Rafi Regulida. Would you believe for a while, pati si Iggy Moran, late Iggy Moran,
Aha.
also was a job with WK. Puro mga S eh.
Oo. Aha. Si Sonia Basa was there also, di ba? For a while. Wala Sonia.
Sa WK namin,
Oo.
WS yun, WS.
Yeah, WS, right.
Ronnie Quintos, Naldi Castro,
Yun.
sino po ba? Hindi ko na maalala. Yan na yun.
Yung Charlie De La Rama, was he with you?
Yeah, he was our pinch hitter.
Yes, he was.
Sa Good Guys.
Mhm.
Sa grupo namin Good Guys.
Aha. Malaki boses. Yun ang...
Charlie Little.
The late na rin yun. The late Charlie.
The late na rin.
I see. Anyway, Wayne, so you decided jazz tayo. Ganun na lang yun? You were one of the only 2 employees, no? Wala kang pananagutan sa wala kayong pananagutan sa management nun.
Wala. May pinapakita lang, meron lang kaming intention na meron pang ibang klaseng tugtog sa airwaves na hindi pa na-ere. Nandito rin lang naman tayo. We love the music. We like to share it. So we just all nodded our heads and we told ourselves, let's go. Let's do it.
And what
it was not a complicated process.
Kaya nga nakakainggit no? Probably you're the only radio station na gano'n. Iba kasi dekahon lahat no? Then all of a sudden, here you come, you came up with something very novel at the same time, walang kumbaga, you went out of the box. You just didn't think out of the box. You went out of the box, got rid of the box, and came out with WKFM.
And ate the box.
Ate the box, so to speak, no? So what prompted you guys to start promoting heavily those local artists of ours? Biglang pumutok na rin no? Dati-dati, pag pupunta kang bar, yung hindi masyado Ngayon, they're everywhere, no?
Hindi kasi, alam mo, George, kung unahin ko na bago sila sumagot,
Mm.
nagising kasi. Nandyan na yan
Oo.
Nandyan na yung talent, nandyan na yung desire.
Mm.
Meron naman palang avenue para ma-promote sa radio. So I guess one of them should have had that notion then. Sino sa inyo ang may idea nun?
Yeah.
Nagtayo ng banda ang Serapin Pua.
Mm.
The Sticky Band.
Yung sticky, yes.
Keyboards, Boy Katindig. Saan ka pa lalayo ka pa ba? Ang
Singer,
singer,
Louie Reyes. Oh,
ang
Louie
singer,
Reyes.
ang singer, Jackie Magno.
Louis
Ang
Reyes.
singer,
Louie Reyes.
Louie Reyes.
Doon nag-umpisa yon sa sticky.
Sila Baron Barbers, di ba?
Richard Merck.
Richard Merck. Correct.
Richard Merck, Jennifer Ramos.
Get well soon, Richard. Nasa hospital
Oo nga
Nasa hospital na naman.
Nasa hospital
Uh-huh.
Nung
So,
isang
ganun
araw
ang
kaya.
ano,
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal, ano, yung grabe talaga. Paano, dati ang jazz, pupunta ka pa sa, ano yun, yung sa Malate?
Oh, yung Jazz Bar? Jazz Bar?
Vineyard.
Hindi, yung, may isa yung, I
Jazz
forgot the
Rhythms
name.
ba? Hindi.
Wala pa yun.
Nauna pa. Yung,
Ano?
si Bong Peñera dun eh.
Pension.
Pension Philippines.
Pension. Correct.
No? Dun lang. Tapos, all of a sudden, when WK stepped in, nagkaroon ng jazz rhythm and blues, sa Araneta Avenue, merong Bacchus, nandun sila, sila Lito Molina dun di ba?
Yun.
No? And,
Yun yung mainstream.
precisely, and it's incredible because that place was always packed every time Lito Molina was playing. Ano? Yung makikita mo yung effect talaga ng WKFM, no? And
sabi ni Dr. Howard, Aboys.
Boys.
5
litros. Di ba Aboys 5 litros yun di ba? Complete.
Correct. Sa Mabini.
Okay. Ayun.
Then you have Roy Keller sa Holiday Inn.
Oh, that's right. And
si Eddie played there, and then
yeah.
Desma would dabble in some jazz fusion.
Really?
with music
when
and
she
magic.
was with the group called Ensalada.
And also music and magic, di ba?
Oo.
Yeah.
Ito nakakatawa si Mr. Isunga, si Victor Isunga, sabi, kayong dalawa raw,
Dinadalan mo
Wayne,
ng bilog.
bumibili, dinadalan si Ronnie Q ng bilog at kayo bumibili ng lapad tapos dinadalan nyo sa birds. Totoo ba yun?
Anak ni Vic Morales yan.
Anak ni Vic Morales yan.
Anak ni
Yeah,
Vic. Anak ni Vic. Ayun, no? So, yun ang mga kwento-kwento nun. Now, ang let's go to the present, no? Nung May, you started WK Good Guys on FB. All of a sudden, pumutok. No? Pumutok to how many, Jing? How many followers?
8,800 members.
Yeah. 7,000.
Actually, when we stopped, when we went off, it was 8,800. Pero we started on May 4. By May 9, we had 568 members. By May 30, in less than a month, we had 6,423 members. And then it went exponentially from there. Hanggang sa nag 1,800. And then we decided to halt operations.
People are asking, what happened?
Si Ed parang nagbabasa lang ng stat sheet sa laro.
Meron talaga siyang he actually wrote everything down. He's our historian, so to speak. So he all of the highlights.
So
historian.
Historic.
Si Ed kasi madaming collection ng fountain pen. Gusto lang niya gamitin.
Sayang nga naman, matutuyo eh.
No? Ed, ano yung mga may wherever ka ba?
Meron.
Fountain pen,
1940s na wherever.
Ang ganda ng wherever eh.
Meron.
So ilang bote ng quink ang nandyan sa'yo?
Hindi lang quink.
May quink na ba?
Meron pang quink. That's by
Oh, may
Parker.
nakikita pa ako. Oh, Parker yun eh.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah, okay. So, why did a lot of people are asking this? And in fact, ito nga kanina kinikwento ko before the show kay Jing. Sa mga Facebook posts kasi, maraming nag-aakala this is gonna be the launch of the WK Good Guys, the return of the WK Good Guys, no? First of all, let's enlighten everyone. Why did you halt operations on FB?
Nalasing kami. We were, as Pink pointed out, we had a get-together sa Habana ba yun, Wayne?
Yeah.
Sa Greenbelt, di ba? Sa Greenbelt.
Yeah.
And then Jing brought up the idea. Sabi niya, kasi Jing is the techie among us. Sabi niya, pwede tayong ganito, ganon. Sabi namin, basta ikaw na bahala, Jing. Just put it up and then, di ba?
Oh, tama.
Kasi nga, yung internet connection namin sa kapitbahay lang eh. So wala talaga kaming muang-muang dyan. Tapos si Pinky nandun kasama ng mga kangaroo. So, basta ikaw na bahala, Jing. And then, one day, sabi na sa amin, kasi we kept in touch, as Jing mentioned, via Zoom, no? Parati kaming we would have our inumans, ganyan, kulitan, ganyan, every Friday. And then sabi, all of a sudden, he said, pwede tayo mag-umpisa. Ha? Ano? Paano natin gagawin yun? O ganito, ganun. So, sige. Kailan? Bukas. Ha? Bukas? So, ganun. So, we went on for what? June, July, August, 4 months.
5 months.
5 months. Oh. But the truth of the matter is, wala naman kami kinikita ron ni Cinco eh.
Precisely.
Kasi it was just out of boredom, really. We were locked down. Walang magawa, nasa bahay lang kami. And it seemed like a good idea at the time. It was also to scratch an itch. Dahil lahat kami have been out of, except for Wayne, no? who has been keeping in touch with his broadcasting DNA for the longest time. Pero at that time, hindi, wala rin, di ba? So, tara. Bored tayo, ganito, ganon. And then, when slowly things were opening up, and we were going back to some of our usual activities, medyo challenging na yung 4 na oras, uupo ka, di ba?
So you were actually there, umuupo pa rin kayo para nagbo-board.
Well, we would record, no. Sometimes we would go live, pero most of the time we would pre-record the night before, the day before. 4 hours pa rin, di ba? Of music. Medyo mahirap. And then nagkakaroon din kami ng problema sa algorithm ng Facebook.
Yeah.
We were all over the place, di ba? Biro mo, schedule pa kami, 6 to 10 Pinky, 9 to si Jing, o 9 to 1, then I'd be 1 to 5, whatever. Tapos, yun pala, sa Facebook, sabog-sabog. Di ba? So, what are we doing, di ba? So, we figured we have to get ourselves together, di ba? And have a more organized system. So, we're still trying to figure that out. And we're getting there. Hopefully, in a couple of weeks, we might be able to come out with a new platform and a new system, hopefully. And jazz will back.
And you'll be able to hear us also.
Yeah, okay. Paano, somebody just mentioned, if you could have at least man lang raw kahit once a week listening party, Gayo Gonzalez, providing music on an online platform. So keeping our fingers crossed, they will definitely be back. Okay, before anything else, here's a public service announcement. Skyway beam collapses in Muntinlupa, trapping several cars.
Oh, wow.
Casualties should be heavy. Let's pray for them. Avoid the area if you're around.
Oo.
Yeah.
Teddy, ikaw rin. Malapit ka rin.
Ang nangyari, may yung tower crane broke
Aray.
and came crashing down on at least 4 vehicles below.
Oh
and
my.
some four fatalities
My
believed
goodness.
to be
Wow.
passersby.
Wow.
Oh my.
That that actually happened sa ano sa bandang Plaza Dilaw also. May
Oh,
bumagsak din dati, di ba? Na
dahil sa
crane.
sunog.
Uh,
Oh,
Dahil
may
sa
isa
Plaza
pa
sunog
Dilaw,
yun.
before
in
may,
Paco,
may, may
Manila.
isa pa before that yung crane din ng Skyway na bale and it fell. No. So that's the second crane which broke down. And
Wow.
anyway, let's go back to ano no. Jing, so you're the techie. Um, any difficulties getting these guys on board or up to date on whatever technical things we have nowadays?
Sige.
Yes. You know, when there's been decades between the last time we went on board, all of a sudden there's all this new technology. There's a lot to learn, no, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of technology and the back end.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to figure out. Kasi we're just talking about Facebook now, dahil Facebook lang kami, no?
Mm-hmm.
So there were times we uploaded music kasi sa Facebook, pwede ka mag-schedule eh. I don't know if you know this, but on Facebook, you can schedule a post.
Yeah.
Mm.
So if I
Yeah.
want to schedule a post, all I have to do is compose my post and then may scheduler dun sa, if you click on it, it will ask you when you want it posted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So kami, ang ginawa namin, gagawa kami ng playlist. So 4 hours is around 55 songs.
Mm-hmm.
So every
Mhm.
day, we would choose 55 to 60 songs,
Links lang yon.
schedule each
Links
one
lang.
of those
Links lang.
songs
Uh-huh.
in order. So ang generally what we do is we schedule every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So top of the hour, 5 minute mark, 10 minutes, we'll schedule one song and then include a short word and that then Facebook takes care of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
On days na kunyari, hindi ako nakapag-schedule ng songs dahil dami kong ginagawa, kailangan mag-live ako on that day. Live, ha?
Mhm.
That means live posting, not live music.
Mm-hmm.
May mga taong nag-comment tong araw na nag-shutdown kami dahil sa
Music.
licensing
Copyright.
issue,
Yeah.
Yes, no.
copyright issues. That's not correct. No? Because if you merely post a link to a song,
Mm-hmm.
that's not infringing on any copyright laws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In fact,
It's public.
you're helping the artist by linking people to his song. No?
Mm-hmm.
But if you post the song itself and play it, if you play the song, that is infringing on copyright already
Mm-hmm.
of the artist. So, walang copyright issues yung WK Facebook page. Kasi, ang pinupost namin, panay link lang.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, in our rules, you can go back even today, no? In our announcements, sinabi namin doon na please avoid yung mga, ano yun, yung mga
Live.
live links,
Mm-hmm.
and any
Live
other
performances.
live performances, that any other content that may be brought into question in terms of copyright. So it was very clear on our side. So to make it short, copyright was not an issue on our Facebook page ever, because we were very careful about that. A lot of people are saying, bakit yung iba nagla-live sa Facebook? Bakit?
Mm-hmm.
It still infringes on copyright if you go live on Facebook. Yung iba nakakalusot or pinapalusot lang or di lang napapansin, but you can't do it. It's not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At saka, we made sure that we had control. We pre-approved all posts. We welcome our members to post songs, but we had to approve them. And then we had to screen, no, kung okay o hindi. And then later on nga, ginawa na namin, kami na magpo-program. Kasi some members were of the idea that
They could just jump
they could
in.
program the music on the
Yeah.
page.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
wanted to program the music on the page because they thought that they knew better than some of us. We couldn't allow other people to take control of the page. So we had to take control. We had to have a system. We had to have an organization, and so as
Mm-hmm.
also to avoid any legal complications. Diba?
Yeah.
So yung mga ganun, yung mga live performances, we discouraged them. Pero kung
Mm-hmm.
time to talk, as a matter of fact, meron lang nag-text sa akin a few days ago asking me about how WK was. He was one of those guys na I think he's either from Iloilo or Bacolod. I'm not sure, but he has a band.
Mm-hmm.
He has a jazz band, bata. They're good. Galing sila. And they play in either Iloilo or Bacolod. And he was asking me kung pwedeng i-post at that time, no? I-post yung kanilang performance. I said, one at a time, yes, but not the entire concert, di ba? One
Mm-hmm.
at a time, yeah, sure, but I cannot guarantee na they will all be posted. And then he said, can I promote our concert? And I said, we have a policy against that. Kasi commercialism yan. We'd rather not get into that at this point in time. So, naintindihan naman niya. It was very nice about it. And he said, yeah, sure. Pagka naman
Mm-hmm.
pinaliwanag ko sa kanila, okay, of course, there will be some na medyo maangas ka agad, who do you
Mm-hmm.
think you are, but, you get all these types naman, anywhere you go.
Yeah, I noticed that kasi yung when it became very popular, ang dami nagpo-post ng mga songs. Yung iba paulit-ulit lang eh. And I think one of you reminded them, do not post something that has been posted already. Paano nagiging redundant? And I was wondering how you guys handle that, the voluminous material that's coming in, no? How you process everything. No? So who processes that? Each one of you during your slot?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
goodness.
You
So
know,
it's more difficult, huh?
we had to screen over 1,000 posts a day.
Yep.
Grabe.
That's right. Mm.
So it's more difficult than being a radio DJ.
Oo naman.
Sort of.
Ibang
Nung
Mm.
nasa
klase.
WKFM, we went on board and minom lang kami ng beer eh. Dito hindi. Kailangan may trabaho ka in the background.
Oh,
Yeah.
precisely. Oo. Grabe,
Mm.
no? So how do you find time? Pinky, like you, for instance, 6 o'clock, so it must be about 9 or 10 in the morning in your area, no? So how do you go about it?
So as Jing mentioned earlier, so we pre-program it. So I
Oh, okay.
pre-program the night before.
Uh-huh.
So and then make sure that everything is complete. So at least I can go ahead on my day when it's my time. And
Mm-hmm.
as for those that are trying to post something and trying to approve or decline, so we agreed that we would approve 3 per hour. So I'd go in and pre-approve the ones that I think that are good for my program, and then
Mm-hmm.
every hour for that month. So yeah. So while I'm at work, I'm also looking at my phone. Ito okay to, okay to, and then I would have my earphones plugged to my ears as well while working, and then I'd go, oh okay, this one's good, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how we managed.
Okay, you brought that up. I hope you don't mind my asking this. So, what does Pinky do now? What does the Superwoman do nowadays?
So I
Yes, and
work at both.
the rest of the guys.
Yeah, so I work at Volkswagen. I recently actually I got made redundant during the COVID, which
Mm-hmm.
means that I lost my job. And then I got a little bit of money from there. And then I sort of said, oh, I'll give myself a break. So I was jobless for about a month or two. And then I got this offer again from Volkswagen. So that's where I am now. So what I
Mm.
do there is I chase people for their arrears, yung mga hindi nagbabayad ng kanilang Lamborghini and their Ferraris and
Mm.
their Skodas, and then sila pa yung magagalit sa akin. And then if they still don't pay, I get their car, I repossess the car.
Uh-huh. I had the
That's what I
impression if
do.
you own a Lamborghini or Ferrari, you'd pay in cash.
Not here. Not here. There was even this guy who bought a Bentley, and then
Uh-huh.
3 months, and then 3 months later, he called. Sabi niya, I'm in hardship. Can you give me like parang 3 months
Mm.
moratorium not to pay for his Bentley? I said, can you give me the reason why? Oh, my partner, he walked away with my wife and my business, and I have nothing. Okay, why don't we just collect the car? So wala ka ng problema. Oh, no, no, I love my car. Yung ganon. Ayaw ibigay yung kotse.
Uh-huh.
So,
No wonder he, no
you
wonder
deal
his
with people like this.
wife left him, huh?
Yeah,
He
he can
loves
have
his
the
Bentley
Bentley.
more.
Yeah.
What about Wayne? What do you do nowadays, Wayne? Do you still have jazz box and stuff?
Wala na.
Wala na.
The bars are all closed. I am involved in voice directing telenovelas
Mhm.
sourced from Mexico,
Mhm.
and from Spanish to English. We do it here in Manila,
Uh-huh.
uh, and then we send it back. It's not being aired.
Oh.
It's not being aired here in the Philippines.
Minsan
So
to
Uh-huh.
English, no? Spanish
So
to English.
you
from
you
Spanish to English,
uh-huh.
and
So
then
you write the scripts and everything.
yeah, scripts are written.
Mm.
We the company in Mexico sends us the literal English translation
Mhm.
of the whatever. Of course, literally when you translate, cannot
The
be
dialogue.
conversation. English.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So doon ang pinagbabasehan ng local scriptwriter,
Mhm.
and then I have 10 voice talents
Mhm.
uh, that I work with
Mhm.
for this particular telenovela, which is right now there's 82 episodes,
Wow.
Wow.
and I'm only halfway done.
Mhm.
Wow.
So being the voice director, I make sure that the syncing, lip syncing, the content of the dialogue, plus I also tweak scripts that are submitted to us. Kasi minsan
Mhm.
hindi rin conversational English yung ano yung,
Mhm.
yung kanilang sinusulat eh.
Kaya
So
rewrite, no?
binabago mo yan. Gagawin ko lang. Yun lang.
Mm.
Wayne, napadpad ka ba dati before the pandemic dun sa basketball court along Buendia, corner Bautista? Parang
Nandun din
ikaw
ako
yung
nun.
nakita ko dati. Tama
Yeah.
ba?
Yung may inuman,
Ah.
meron din doon eh.
Nakita nga kami doon eh, Ted. Sumama ako sa inyo
Pagdating ng,
minsan.
pagdating ng alas 6 yata, pero basketball court yon.
Oo.
So meron kami liga. There was a league office, the company, a basketball league, mga mga empleyado. So that's where they performed. That's where they played. Meanwhile, I go there because 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the bar's open.
Mm. And then start drinking.
Happy hour.
Oh.
So of course,
Bar.
Yun.
what do you
So
do?
that yung voice acting niya, very tedious. I remember my daughter tried her hand at it. Sumuko siya eh. Because it's really very tedious, you know. And
Which one? The work that the talents that I have,
mhm.
they have to produce. They have to produce at least 4 voices
Mhm.
per talent.
Precisely.
Wow.
Precisely.
So
Wow.
I'm working on I can work with 40 different voices.
Mhm. Yun
Wow.
nga eh. May
The telenovela.
matanda, yung lolo, yung anak, hindi ba? Lahat yun eh, siya eh.
Oh, lahat.
Parang
So
radio
natural
drama na
voice,
din.
Radio drama dati. Yeah.
natural,
Panahon nila ano.
Grabe.
modulated voice,
Aha.
crack
But
voice.
you don't voice anymore.
I don't do it. I stopped when I started directing it.
I see.
I used to do that for a while.
Mhm. Very good. What about Ed? Okay, you're still involved in boxing, right?
Mm.
Yes, I am.
Mhm.
I'm the Secretary General of the National Sports Association for Boxing. That's Olympic style boxing. Everybody,
Yeah.
when people
Mm.
know that I'm boxing, ano kaagad eh, oh, si Pacquiao. No. I'm not involved with that's professional boxing. Um, I'm with the national team, which is involved in Olympic style boxing. So
Do we have
we
golden prospects
have
for next year?
about 50 boxers. Oh,
How are
I
the
think nakakas na
preparations?
eh.
Ed, yung
sorry.
preparations, tuloy-tuloy ba?
Well, as best we could, no? Kasi hanggang ngayon, bawal pa yung face-to-face training. So what we do is we have virtual training, and then actually last June, our boxers were sent home to their respective provinces. So it's also a challenge dahil kung minsan, you know, they're in far off places and walang signal, umulan, mga ganun, no? And it's really a big problem. So we're trying to get the government to allow the boxers to train face to face. Kasi yung mga kalaban natin, other countries, you know, most of them have already been training for several months. Eh tayo, nasa virtual pa rin tayo.
Oo, yun
So
na nga.
we're hoping that actually I have a meeting on Monday with the chef de mission to the Tokyo Olympics and the Philippine Sports Commission to try and figure out when we can start the face-to-face training. Kasi yung professionals, yung professional boxing, pinayagan nila.
Yeah.
MMA, pinayagan nila.
Mm.
So volleyball, pinayagan nila. Pero professional, no? So we're trying to relay the message na pareho lang yan, professional or amateur.
Yeah.
That's the difference, di ba?
How
So
many have
hopefully, kasi, sorry?
How many have qualified for the Olympics?
Yan. O kasi qualifiers dapat ngayon na eh.
Dalawa.
May dalawa na tayo.
Talaga?
Actually,
Okay.
the last qualifier that we participated in was the qualifiers for Asia and Oceania, which includes Australia. We qualified 2 there, 1 male and 1 female, and we were supposed to have another one last May in Paris. World yun, no? Lahat kasali, pero obviously it was cancelled. And then they've rescheduled everything kasi hindi pa natapos yung Europe. Kasi kanya-kanya qualifier yan. Asia, Oceania, Africa, natapos na Africa and Asia, Oceania. Pero hindi natapos yung Europe in the middle of their tournament. Tinigil because of the pandemic. And then Americas hindi nakapag-umpisa. So they've rescheduled all of that, including the world qualifiers for next year, 2021. I think sometime June yung world. So we're hoping that we could be prepared for that.
Is there an equitable distribution of qualifiers for each continent o parang basketball na unfair pa rin sa Asia?
Yeah, mas marami sa Europe.
Well, actually, I don't know if we can call it equitable. To a certain degree, yes. No, America pinakamarami and Europe, no, the Asia and Africa. Yung Asia nga sinama nila yung Oceania,
Oceania.
Australia, New Zealand, you know, these Pacific Islands, no, mga Palau, mga ganyan. Medyo okay lang, but it's really a very stringent process, no. Dati kasi free for all, eh. Kung sino isabak mo dyan, okay lang. Pero now, you have to go through the qualifiers.
Yeah.
So, again, you have these factors that you have to consider. Kung minsan, may kumakarerang kotse.
Oo nga.
Kung minsan, merong mga allegations of corruption, di ba? Favoritism or bias, ganun. Maaari siya kasi subjective yan eh. These are humans. And you always get that sort of suspicion. So yesterday I had another Zoom meeting with the International Boxing Association, and what they're doing is trying to amend the constitution. Kasi right now the International Boxing Association, under which we are a member, has been suspended by the International Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
various supposedly shenanigans, no? So they're trying to amend the constitution. So we talked about it yesterday, and then may mga reforms, etc. I don't know if that's going to pass the muster of IOC. Hopefully, it does.
What about Jing? One of the few really credible newscasters. What is
Podcast.
Jing Magsaysay doing nowadays? Aside
We
from
have
your
a
photography, of course, I'm very impressed with your photographs.
thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
We have a company called
Mhm.
Lahi.ph, and it's a company that produces Filipino content. Uh, we post on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. Go to it, Lahi.ph.
Mhm.
Tinayo namin nung 2017 because we decided that why should politics dictate the conversation of our everyday?
Mm.
So why don't we dedicate a media content company to producing content that will showcase what is good and excellent about the Filipino? Kasi ang
Mhm.
dami-daming kwento ng Pilipino na hindi natin alam. No? For example,
Mhm.
there's this 30-year-old guy who goes around the Philippines and Asia, and he's now in Africa and Europe, giving away 3 apples each to indigent children. Kasi nung bata daw
Yeah.
siya, nakikita niya yung letter A sa blackboard, may apple.
Mhm.
Letter A is for apple. Sabi niya, bakit kaya apple? Hindi pa siya nakakatikim ng apple. Sabi niya, siguro masarap yun. Nung nakatikim daw siya ng apple, sabi niya, ang sarap pala ng apple. Pag nagkapera ako, mamimigay ako ng apple sa mga batang hindi makatikim ng apple.
Mm.
Really,
This
huh?
guy launched the Apple Project, and he is now giving away, like I said, apples to indigent children, but he's also teaching hygiene sa mga bata,
Hygiene.
walang
Mhm.
tubig sa
Mhm.
bahay,
Mm.
and things like that. So, ang daming kwento ng mga Pilipino na hindi na kwento. Bakit pinag-uusapan natin palaging politika?
Mhm.
Mm.
So, why don't we talk about Filipinos who are actually doing something for other Filipinos and for the Philippines?
Other.
So, we're doing these stories. We're also looking back. We partnered with the National Historical Commission of the Philippines and the Philippine Commission for Culture and the Arts to dig into our culture, kung ano yung nakaraan natin,
Mm.
and what we can do to bring back the values of
Mhm.
our lahi, yung lahi natin.
Mm. Right.
Pag sira na lahat ng institusyon ng bansa, ano ang pwede natin reference point?
Mhm.
Uh, para sa amin, we should go back to values. Kasi hindi ka
Yeah.
magkakamali pag hindi ka sa values. What is right and what is wrong. And there are so many examples in our history of what is right and what is wrong and what Filipinos do to enrich our culture. No? There are
Mhm.
Filipinos who build boats,
Yeah.
trace the
Mhm.
routes that our
Mm.
ancestors took, going to China,
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
other parts of the world. So that's what we do,
Mhm.
and we we also produce content for companies that want to tell their story in our manner to connect it with our culture, our civilization, yung lahi natin.
Mhm.
So we look up, if we have a company, we look up your core values and we connect that with Philippine values and we produce content for you based on that. You know.
Mhm. You know, ano, yung that gave me an idea. Ano yung bumagsak? That gave me an idea. Paano yung Boomer's
Shorts
Banquet?
ko.
Yung shorts mo bumagsak. Yung we created this precisely to for us to look back at the good things that we had before and maybe
There you
make
go.
people feel good, no? Maybe one of these
Mm.
days we could invite you guys, no? Yung your group invite you over and tell us more about your project. Who knows? We might be able to encourage other people to support
Wow.
your
Who's that?
project. Di ba? Oh, Marian Liwag. Hello, Wayne. Hi, handsome. Do you remember that line?
Woo!
You
Oh,
always
wow.
say that, Wayne. Hi, handsome.
Change topic.
Okay, so
George,
Jing,
bago tayo magwakas. Tanungin
Teka.
natin sila ulit. Yeah, hindi, malapit na. Tanungin natin sila ulit yung pinaka hindi nila malilimutang karanasan doon sa kanilang grupo.
ayun. Starting with Pinky, syempre, ang sasabihin niyan, yung memo
Okay, Bob
na
James.
ginagay. Tsaka yung
oo.
memo ni, na kung ano-ano yung mga pinagsusulat, hindi ba? Ganon.
That's right.
Mhm.
My second one was actually when so I was on board, and then there was this American guy who just popped his head in, and then said, "Is Brother Wayne in?" I said, "No, he comes in at around 4:30. Would you like to come in and have a seat? But it will be a long wait," sabi ko sa kanya. Tapos sabi niya, "Okay, I'll wait." So po siya. So, wala lang. So, tingin ako sa TV kasi may TV kami noon. We would watch TV together, and then I'd ask him, do you want some coffee? Or can I get you a drink? Or something like that. No, wala, chika lang. Small talk. Then all of a sudden, the door flings open, and then Brother Wayne is there, and I go, and then he just goes to the gentleman and shakes his hand. Sabi ko, uy, sino kaya to? Importante siguro tong taong to. And then sabi niya, iknip, alis ka dyan. So, pinaalis ako dun sa upuan ko. Sabi ko, okay. Sabi niya, oh, by the way, have you met Superwoman? So, and then, yeah, we've been talking, sabi nung guy. And then, iknip, Bob James. And then I went, what? Bob James? I went, I died. So I never knew him from Adam. I don't know what he looks like. He just looked like an American, with a sweater and glasses on. And he was really a really nice guy. He was a good guy in a sense. Kasi umupo lang siya, walang ka-ere-ere. He just sat down, waited for Wayne, twiddled his thumbs a little bit, and that's it. And then yung pala, si Bob James na pala yun. So yun, one of those. Oh, si Dody.
Dodi,
Hi, Dody.
ba't
Alam
naman
ko, disclose
ka pa
tayo.
ng buhok?
Okay na ba?
Dodi, ba't naman yung mukha mo parang
Nagkikina talaga ako. Pero hindi kasama yung buhok sa kilikili.
Ano yan? Sumali ka
Parang
na sa
ano?
K-pop? Ha?
Parang
Sumali ka na
Sumali sa K-pop.
Ano nangyari sa buhok mo?
Kapahaba talaga ako ng buhok.
yung polo mo pambagong taon, ha?
Oo nga.
Talaga pinahaba
Polka
ko.
dots.
Polka dot, ha?
Hindi
Cheers,
pa.
Dody. Cheers.
Okay ba? Nawala ako.
Ano nangyari sa'yo?
Ay, kamusta kayo? Ito pala si Teddy. Si George. Hello, George.
Hey.
Hello.
Ayan, tanongin nyo na si Dodi.
Marami rin kwento yan.
Ay, George Mercado. Yun eh. Di ba?
Oh.
George Market. Mercado.
Sabi ko na nga ba magda-dramatic entrance ka no? True to form no?
To think, Dody, to think, ikaw yung unang-una nag-reply
Oo nga
na
eh.
yes, I'll be
Close
there.
tayo.
Yeah. Ikaw unang-una, tapos sabi ko, si Dody.
Si Dodi kasi we have a history. He's 10 years ahead of me sa high school eh. So
Oh, okay.
Laglaga na uli.
Let's distort history.
uy, si Dodi. Teka, Dodi, how have you been?
George,
Oo.
kabatch din. Talk lang kami ni George. George, di ba kabatch mo sila Bing?
Vic?
Kabatch mo sila
Okay.
Bing at saka... George,
Yeah.
di ba kabatch
Siegfried.
mo sila Bing, Augusilio at saka si Siegfried?
Yes, that's right. Mhm.
Alam mo, wala na sila, hindi ba? Alam na,
Yeah.
patay na sila ang dalawa.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of close na sa kanila.
Oo, peta no? The
Anyway,
acting
si
guild.
Pinky, parang...
Oo.
Parang
Bakit? Ako na naman nakita mo.
kasi Magsaysay.
Tama yung forma
And
ni
Picson,
Dody, oh. Medyo naka-angle pa yung shoulder ganyan, eh, no? Talagang,
nakaganyan pa.
Hindi niya natanggal yung hanger kanina nung pinatang niya yung polo.
Eh,
Saan ka pupunta, Dodi?
ang favorite
Nakaporma
na life.
ka.
Paano nyo alam?
Naamoy namin yung naptalina, Dody.
I'm supposed to be in a distinguished panel.
oo, no? Distinguished panel kayo.
Jing, kasi yung totoo, nandito na sa labas ng kapakot.
Mm.
Tama ko siya. I'm part of a WIC now, so I wear this to keep me younger, look, younger look.
Oh, okay.
WIC, so I wear this.
Aha.
Okay ba?
Sinong katuwang mo sa WIZ? Hello?
It's a spiritual biblical program. So I do the Friday edition, Salvation Today. That's the title of the program. Salvation Today, 10 o'clock in the evening to 11. Evening. Salvation Today.
Morning,
From
sir.
this about this.
Okay, no?
Is it mornings, Dody?
10 to 11.
Ng maga.
Every Friday.
Friday.
Every morning. Friday lang yun. Friday evening.
I see. Okay.
Dody, we were talking about kanina yung start ng WK and everything, and apparently you were part of the original. You were one of the 2 employees lang, ano? Kayong dalawa ni Wayne, no? Was jazz really into your system? Paano? Alam ko, ever since high school, drama talagang ano mo no? Acting, no? Then all of a sudden, ito nga, no? Jazz and everything. So jazz was in your system too.
Yeah, part of part of the mainstream performing arts, diba?
Ayun.
Getting
Personally,
drama, get into the various related fields like broadcasting, right? Tama, original kami ni Wayne. At saka si Jimmy Sarenas.
Oh, okay.
Ron Quintos. Hindi pa jazz yan. Ron Quintos was also supervisor Jimmy Sarenas. So there was a period in WK history when it really went all pop. Not for commercial purposes, for commercial purposes, because the management was really revenue inclined at that time under the operations manager, the late manager of the
Okay.
Tapos from pop music ventured into. Pero sa umpisa lang, di ba, James, nag-umpisa yung progressive jazz na yan, na concept ng panahon nila Handy Andy, nila Peter Molina, nila Rafael Molina, di ba, Vitos Alfred, di ba?
Yung
progressive talaga ang WK, ang design ng program and the image na nabago, naging commercialized. The image na nabago. So,
yun. Ayun.
Nagbigay na
Wayne, no? Bagong gising ka, Dody.
Hi, bro! Si bro! Kamusta, bro?
Still trying to figure out which Wayne is up.
Yun. Yan.
Kanina pa, mga 3 hours ago. Ganito yung tsura pag nagpapakain ng pusa. Karap pagpakain ng pusa. Pagkawit ng bilis ang liter box ng pusa. Hello, bro, Wayne!
Ito namin patay ang ilaw sa bus. May isang kandila kasi baba ko ng Harold Robin. Oh, is that right? Jing? Can you have a look at that?
Harold Robbins, ha?
Harold Robbins, too.
Huh?
Yeah, I turned off the light in the booth.
Yung Harold Robbins.
So ako nag-sign off.
Patay ilaw mo sa booth?
Ang lakas ng ulan. So ang ginawa ko, inalis ko yung mic. Kasi pagbukas mo ng booth ng WK,
mo sa booth?
May corridor, tapos may garden. Ang lakas ng ulan. So nagpatugtog ako ng John Clemmer, tinanggal ko yung mic, kinata ko yung kable hanggang sa garden, tinapat ko sa ulan tsaka sa kulog. Tapos binuksan ko yung mic para may tunog ng ulan.
Galing, ha?
Sakto yan. Sakto yun sa kape.
Oo.
Sign off yan, sign off. Pinapatay ko din sa booth, di ba may lamp ako?
Oo nga.
Okay,
Ano
ano?
lang, para...
Tapos, ang labo niya ni Jing dati, kasi we would also have something behind us. What was it, Jing? There's this, we had, no, we had, no, not a stool. We had this, I don't know what you call it, but anyway, he was, naka-board siya, pero nakikinig siya sa RJ. Naka-board siya, pero, and then when he does the news, he's still listening to RJ. And I go, this guy is just brilliant. I mean, how does he do it? Ang klase. It's weird na noon pa.
Anong connection ni Harold Robbins in the
Oo nga.
Pansapin lang yun, yung nasa loob yung
Have you
in the
porn.
greater scheme of things?
Nasa labas lang yun, nasa loob yung porn.
Si Jing.
Oh, hindi siya Harold Robbins guy. He would be really.
Ano?
I don't think
Jing.
Harold Robbins was more like I don't know, soft porn novel.
He's the book. He's the book version of Debbie Does Dallas, di ba? Yung mga ganun.
Something. Yeah, but no, Jing's not the Harold Robbins type.
No. Reading a book with the shades on.
Kaya nagtatanong sino daw si Ronnie Q.
Yung nagtitinda ng barbecue dun sa ano, sa
Malapit.
Ronnie Q is Ronnie Quintos. How is he? The man with the golden voice.
Ako, I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Actually, si Ronnie Quintos, I first heard him sa WS pa noon eh. He used to host the Golden Nine, yung countdown nila.
May
The
nagtatanong
Golden
sino
Nine
daw
is
si Ronnie Q. Ronnie Q.
Oo nga, kanina pa namin sinasagot, Dody.
Tama ko, Mike.
Ayun.
Ronnie Q.
So,
Ronnie Q was the Golden Boy. Was the supervisor.
program supervisor.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do anything about what you did with Jazz. Ganun ba yun?
Ronnie Q. Became our supervisor.
Dody had pinasa ni Wayne yung service provider niya kay Dody ngayon, kaya siya yung nagsaslow mo.
Oo nga eh.
Alam mo si Ronnie Q at saka ako magsuntukan yan. Ano ba yun?
Ay,
Uy, galangin mo matatanda. Hindi pwede. Uy, Ronnie
Ronnie
passed
Q.
away in the US
Ako,
some time ago.
oh, I
Thank you.
didn't know that. Oh,
Sa mga
right.
Galing kay Long Tol.
Sad to hear.
Ayun. Long
Thanks,
Tall
Howard.
Howard, thank you very much. Next time you join us, Long Tall Howard is kumbaga a historic person already. Hindi history.
Prehistory.
On cue with Quintos on DZWS during the 60s. Cow. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Alex. No? Yun, no? And of course, si Wayne was with UW together with Mike Pedero, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mike Pedero.
Wayne.
si Milton, okay pa? Ano rin si Milton? Ano, Wayne?
Hindi ko alam. Kapatid ni Ronnie?
Yeah.
Hi, Long
Alam
Tall.
balita.
Jing, question. Personally, your jazz preferences.
Person na si Long Tall.
That's why I can go from pop jazz to progressive rock jazz, acid jazz, depending on my mood. Mainstream, depending on my mood. I like a lot of stuff.
Ayun. So, and anything kaya, no? And I guess it shows in your programs also, no? The stuff you play. What about si Wayne? Wayne, what your personal preferences in jazz?
Wow. It runs the gamut from from what I inherited from my dad.
We heard that your dad is a jazz aficionado.
Yeah, he was, and while he was playing his music at home, my younger brother and I felt that it was not the kind of music we wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as we got older, you just realize something plays and you start humming on the songs. And you're wondering
Uh-huh.
why. Saan ko nakuha to?
Uh-huh.
And that was what I used when I got into this jazz with the good guys. And wala, automatic lang eh. Pag nagugulat na ako eh. Nandito lang pala sa likod ng ulo ko.
Mm-hmm.
Where did
So,
Good Guys come from, Wayne? Saan galing yung
Yeah.
Good Guys na...
Yeah,
You
who
know,
coined that?
what I remember is there's this guy, Freddie Cochran,
Ah,
who was
okay.
a
Uh-huh.
galing din ng boses eh.
Oo.
And he started this thing, I'm one of the good guys. Okay, pero actually, I don't know, Jing, maalala niyo ba kung saan ang galing yung good guys?
No, I don't remember. I just remember we used it
Ginagamit na lang natin eh.
from day one.
Oh,
Hmm.
basta
Pati
ginamit
yung
na lang
mga
natin.
jazz has never sounded better.
Oh,
Grabe,
yun.
no?
Yeah.
Didn't you
So,
think of
sabi-
any other collective name like Los Guapos or something?
Oo.
Mga ganun.
Eh, paano naman ako?
Yun.
Tapos sabihin nila, guwapo ka rin naman eh.
Sabagay.
No, any other moniker came to your mind while already using Good Guys or before that? Anyone can answer this.
Well, we weren't really structured the way other groups are structured. We were
Grabe
just
nga eh.
doing our stuff, doing our thing. I would come in with my work. Pinky would come in with work. I'd stay with Pinky. Pinky would stay with me. I'd stay with Ed. Sometimes I'd stay on till Wayne. And we'd talk and we'd drink in the booth. We had a huge air conditioner inside the booth.
Yeah, oh
Pero
yeah.
may lost na eh, di ba?
Sa ibabaw lumalabas yung
George,
hangin. So,
may
palagi
lost
may
na guwapo.
nakakita na beer. And
Mm.
ibabaw yung air conditioner. So, we'd stay together, magkukwentuhan kami, we talk about the music, we hung out with each other, but we were not really, we wouldn't have meetings every week and talk about the station. And
Yeah.
then, hindi ganon eh. It was the best years of my radio life.
Pero sa
I can
Jing,
imagine.
sa station, ano amenities nyo doon? Like, nabanggit mo, dito kayo nagpapalamig ng ganyan. Like, meron ba
We had
kayong
TV.
pantry, ref, o ano?
Ang ganda na
Or
lang.
in-house chef?
Wala.
We have really good speakers.
Butler.
We have really good speakers and
Yeah.
turntables that have wooden tone arms.
Wooden
Yeah.
tone arms.
Wooden
Yeah.
tone. Yeah. Yeah.
And
We have so the real amenity was being able to play jazz and listen to it.
Exactly.
At top volume.
grabe.
Ang nakakatuwa na nobody knows when we have our interviews with foreign artists, ang inuupuan nila is a real na
Player?
doon iniikot yung kable ng camera. Mga cameras. So
Okay.
we just put it on one side. Upuan na yan. Ayos na yan.
Ganun lang, ah.
Interview na tayo.
And they didn't mind.
Di ba, si Tom Scott nga na umpog pa dun sa speaker.
Oo nga, oo.
Yung dalagyan ng speaker, umpog.
Okay,
Tom
ano?
Scott.
Tom
Kaya
Scott.
Buta hindi niya nasubo yung saxophone.
Nako.
Kaya lang bago, I remember Ronnie Malig was telling me, kayo yung may push button na mixer noon, no? Yung console nyo. Yung push button.
Tapos bottom ba?
Yeah,
Oo.
push button yan.
Tapos sabi niya, natanggal minsan yun. Ang ginawa yata ng technician, linagyan ng epoxy or whatever. Linagyan ng epoxy. Pag pindot, ayaw ng...
Wala nang bumalik.
Oo, tama.
So yun ang mga no? But, okay, Ed, ikaw, what is your personal preference sa jazz?
Well, I would like to think that my taste is as eclectic as all the other good guys. No? we embrace all forms of jazz, even rhythm and blues na crossing over to jazz. Uh, my personal philosophy is so long as it sounds good to me, it should sound good to a lot of other people. So play it, and if they like it, fine. If they don't, well then maybe some other time, some other song, di ba? Pabi mo muna kung hindi mo gustuhan, di ba? Pero by and large naman, we're batting pretty well. Maganda ang batting average namin when it comes to the music that we played, as evidenced by the enthusiasm, no, of a lot of people when we came out on Facebook. And up to now, they've been clamoring for more of the music, and we'd like to be able to accommodate them.
What do you think? What do you think is the biggest hit WK ever made?
Happiness is you by Banquet.
Happiness is you.
Yeah,
Okay.
no doubt.
Michael
Of course,
Pedichin.
Michael
Di ba?
Pedichin Jr.
Excuse me.
actually, it's Pedersen.
Ed, correct
Yeah,
them, please.
yeah. I don't know.
Pedicin. Pedicin.
Yes, it's
Pedichin.
Pedersen.
Pedichin ba?
Actually,
Okay.
Bakit yung
we,
David
you know,
Benoit?
we said the Pedersen.
Uh-huh.
We thought it was Pedichin. And then
Uh-huh.
when he came here with the Jones
Pedichin
girls,
daw.
I
Uh-huh.
remember they were guesting in the Ariel Ureta show
Uh-huh.
on Channel 4, and I accompanied them there. Tapos when Ariel asked the Jones girls, sila yung kumanta, di ba? Sila yung vocals ng Happiness You. Who's Michael Pedichin? Who? Sabi ng the sax guy, Michael Pedichin. Oh, Mike Pedersen. Sabi, tawag agad sa WK. Abort! Hindi Pedichin. Mga isang taon na namin ginagamit yung Pedichin.
Pedichin.
Parang sa States, hindi ba si David Benoit, sinabi David Benoit?
Benoit, yeah.
When I actually asked him personally about it when he came here in first concert niya sa Cultural Center. And we asked him point blank, how do you pronounce it? It's Benoit.
Oh, Benoit talaga.
Benoit. Angela Bofield, hindi Bofield. Di ba?
Bofield.
Angela
Yes.
Bofield.
It's not Bofield.
Bofield.
It's Bofield.
Bofield daw eh.
Kasi South American, parang Puerto Rican.
Aha. Okay.
And she only had one kid. She only has one kidney. I interviewed her
nga.
kasi.
Talaga?
And then she revealed to me, I only have one kidney. Then I asked her about the rumor of her being an item
Involved.
with Dave Valentine. And then she said, no, he's just a good friend of mine. Whatever happened.
What about Dody? Hey, Mr. Lacuna. What would your personal preference be as far as jazz is concerned?
Wrong camera.
Yun. Aum.
Awaki naman.
para
Yan na yun.
para nasa photo mo yun.
Wala, frozen ka, Dodi. Frozen.
Ed,
Frozen.
Ed, ba't palagi may ganyan tayo, no? At least si Wayne okay na, no?
Yung corona ni Howard napunta kay Dody na ngayon.
Basta kay Wayne, tapos kay Dodi.
Dumaan sa akin eh.
Oo, tama.
Hindi, consistent naman yan. Si Rudolph Rivera, ganyan din. Ayun.
From jazz rock to
Yep.
jazz rock. Well,
At least we can hear some Dody. Merong konting
may
audio.
konting ano. Oh.
to take
Jing, would you agree with Ed and the rest of the guys that happiness?
Oops. Dodi,
And
you're
Dumayo
Wala si Dody.
Dody, you're chubby.
Uh,
you're chubby.
You're
why are you
chubby.
chubby?
Sabi.
Jing, would you agree with them? Happiness is You ang biggest hit ng WK?
National anthem.
Yeah.
Our
Uh,
national anthem.
Most requested song.
Hands down.
really?
Yeah.
Hands
Teka.
down.
Happiness is You.
And
Yeah.
and and who discovered that song?
I don't
may
remember.
corona may
Hindi po.
Oh no, that.
Hindi ko maalala.
Actually, hindi na namin alam eh. Kasi
Uh-huh.
we all gravitated towards that track. You know? There was another one
Uh-huh.
there in that album that we used to play. I think it was more upbeat. Pero yung Happiness is You, by far, talagang, yun nga eh, people just remember, whenever they hear it, they tell us na what comes to mind is WK. Kasi nga, siguro, in pop stations, normally, di ba, yung mga hits, they'd stay for what?
mawala
4,
ako.
5, 6, 10 weeks.
Hmm.
Pero
Oo
sa,
nga.
in case of that track, Happiness is You, it was with WK from the time that we played it, possibly in 1981 or 82 until we closed up.
Yeah.
Hindi na wala yun eh.
Grabe.
Talagang nandun lang siya. No? And then,
Tuwan-tuwa
after
biker
that,
na.
CBS Sony nga yun,
CBS yun.
Tama,
Sony
CBS
yun.
Sony. Oh.
CBS Sony.
CBS Sony yun.
Oh, nilagay nga sa
Um,
sampler. Di ba? Well.
Yeah, and di ka tindig, do it, di ba?
Yeah.
Tapos yung sa kanta. And then,
Hindi
of
siya
course,
madali,
nandun din yung,
Tugtugin.
no. And then, nandun din yung isa pang kinanta ni Wayne, yung Moody's Mood. Si George
Oo,
Benson.
mo.
Diba?
There I go, there I go.
Yeah.
George
There,
Benson.
there you went, there you went. So,
Tugtug sa karera.
that also
There you go.
iconic, an iconic. And then, of course, we had the hits of Spyro Gyra.
Oh.
And then you
Morning
mentioned
Dance.
Hiroshima and Seawind.
Manhattan Transfer.
Manhattan Transfer.
Manhattan Transfer.
Alphonse Muzon, di ba?
And of course, Michael
Yeah.
Franks.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
ultimate bait machine.
So, Michael Franks, panahon pa namin Jing sa Dody, sikat na siya eh, di ba?
Oo.
Kaya lang nung mag-concert siya rito, Focard Theater yan eh. Sisigawan siya ng mga, be alive! Ayun Wala ko kay Darius and walang kabuhay-buhay talaga yun. Kaya mo lang siya, pero kung panonoorin, di ba? Hindi ko naman Manhattan Transfer, may choreography, may production, di ba?
Oh.
Show sila talaga.
Entertainment.
Parang si Kenny Rankin din yun nakachinelas nung pumunta sa stage sa Focards.
Correct.
Oh.
Di ba? Ganun din yun
Pero yung Spyro Gyra, people like Ramsey Lewis or Tom Scott, music na talaga. Pero at least they alive on stage, di ba? May konting
Showmanship.
angas kahit pa paano, showmanship. Ito talagang nakatayo lang din. But anyway, sikat siya, di ba? Hanggang ngayon.
Grabe nga.
Tibay rin. Yeah.
Oh, teka.
Marami
I did-
sa WK na hindi kilala until well, we'd like to think na when we broke the record, some pop stations picked it up,
Yeah.
picked them up, and then they became mainstream, di ba? Na naging part of the pop music landscape to the delight of Mr. Rosario and JP and his wife, di ba? Yun ang legacy ng
WK.
Ed, you went mute.
Okay, I didn't realize
I think Dody is talking in the background.
Oh.
Ah,
Siya ba yun?
siya nga.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
Okay,
Yeah, that is
my
Dody.
phone, I think.
I didn't realize it's almost noon and time for us to say goodbye. But before we say goodbye, any glimmer of hope for your thousands of listeners out there, Jing?
We're working on something. Please bear with us. Please be patient with us. Be
Mhm.
kind. Be gentle.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing the jazz with us.
Thank you so much too, Jing. Pinky?
Same. Yeah, thank you for also listening and keeping up, and even sending us some messages of encouragement, even after we have stopped. But we will come back for sure.
Very nice, no? And Boomer's Banquet definitely will announce it as soon as it happens. Wayne, any parting words?
you drive carefully now.
Mm-hmm.
Life you save, maybe mine later.
Later.
Thank you. Very good, no? Ed.
Well, first of all, thank you, no, George, Bob, and Teddy for inviting us. It's always fun. This is my second time on the show, and it's always fun. And as you can probably tell, it's always fun also when the good guys get together, and especially when we have our audience with us. We love playing the kind of music that we are known for, and we hope that our listeners will continue to support if and when, no, when, walang if, when we come
When
back
na lang, when.
Yeah.
on a different platform and hopefully soon. So, maraming salamat sa inyo
Yeah.
and for the viewers and listeners out there who have given us a lot of purpose in our lives, especially after more than 40 years when WK closed shop. So we're, it really touches our heart that people are still out there clamoring for the music and the programming of WK. Salamat po.
Thank you.
Salamat.
And Dody's
Thank
not
you.
there yet. But to those of you who want to watch this again, it's gonna be in YouTube forever, and you can tell
Oh,
all your friends also to just go to YouTube, look for Boomer's Banquet and this episode, and you can enjoy it as many times as you want to. All right, Teddy.
thank you.
Thank you to the good guys. Just the people we need to hear and watch at this time. And
Very good.
speaking of, thank you. Salamat sa BioFresh underwears and socks. And
Yun, di
also
ba?
to Design
Design
Makati.
Makati. Aha.
I
Right.
have one more thing.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Jing Magsaysay tomorrow.
Happy
Oh,
birthday,
Oh,
Jing.
Oh,
Very nice.
naman
yeah,
pala.
22nd.
Very
Yeah.
good. Very nice. Very nice. That calls for
Inom ka naman.
celebration. A beer. Yon, no? Okay, Dody, any parting words from Dody? Gumalaw ka naman. Konti lang.
I couldn't unmute Dody. Na-mute siya.
Posing.
No, minute mo eh.
Thank you,
Na-mute
Dody.
pa. Dody.
Bob, ikaw, any parting words?
Just that if you want an audio version of this, we have slightly edited version of whatever it is we talk about here on podcast. So in case you're driving, magandang companion. Just search Boomer's Banquet on Spotify and other podcast channels.
Yeah.
Makukuha nyo.
Anchor, and Apple Podcasts.
Oh yeah, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts then.
Yeah.
And happy birthday then, Jing. So
Uh-huh.
everybody's giving birthday greetings now and we appreciate it.
Ayan
Thank
na.
you. And of course to the good guys, salamat sa legacy. Everybody else just follows in your lead. And we're hoping to hear from you again and more often from now on. Thank you.
Yung inaano na where jazz has never sounded better. Your Saturday morning hasn't sounded this good for a long time, and it's
Thank you.
because of the Good
Thank
Guys.
you.
Very nice, no?
Thank you.
It's a great to see you again, and we'd like to thank all of you for joining us. Thank you, Audiophile and Seria Restaurant, and of course, Design Makati. We'll see you again next week.
Well, wait, George,
Uh,
si Dody has unmuted, kaya lang ayaw
okay.
pumasok.
Dody,
Baka
can
may
we hear
tunog.
you?
Wala ba?
Salta ka, Dody.
He's trying.
Oo.
Parang ID picture, no?
Oo nga eh. Yan.
Hindi, parang
Walang
pang-kampanya eh. Tatakbo ba to?
Pag senador.
Yan eh. Ayos eh, no? Ihalal. Yan.
Ay,
And-
lol.
Anyway, thank you, Dody,
Happy birthday,
Jing,
Jing. Happy
Pinky, Ed, and Wayne, and happy birthday, Jing. See you again next week here on
Okay.
Boomers Banquet.